I am TenDeadBunnies. I'm a trans VTuber. I former soldier. Fucking. That's basically it. I have kids and a wife. I'm just normal people's. I do gaming content on Twitch. Well, I haven't for the past several months, but we're gonna get into that.
Yeah, sometimes you just need that break.
Well, it was also just a smart move legally at the time.
Yeah. And chat will definitely understand as we get into it.
Yeah. So, I guess I should start at like the very beginning of everything, I guess.
I think that would be a pretty good place to start, yeah.
All right. Well, it starts about 2017 when my older brother, uh this is back before any of my family knew that I was trans. I hadn't come out to them yet. And my older brother, who we'll call Doofus, Bingus.
Bingus or doofus? I'm taking notes.
Yeah, Bingus over there.
Okay, Bingus.
uh he had met a woman and they had a child, right? And this kid came over, my niece, she came over to our house to hang out with my daughter for like a day. And we observed some very concerning and troubling behavior from her, some very inappropriate behavior. So we ended up banning her from the house after that. After she had left, my daughter came to me and told me about an incident that her cousin had told her about, where a neighbor boy had assaulted her, like in a grapey fashion, trying to
Oh.
use appropriate words so that you don't get super demonetized.
Oh, sweetheart, I don't even get paid for the ads already, so say what you want.
Oh,
And
oh yeah,
personally, I would
okay.
rather we just be upfront and be like, this person was rapey, trying to be a
Well,
rapist. Just
yes, it
point it.
was another neighbor boy around her same age. These are small children we're talking about.
Yeah, so it's not like
And
full on,
he
let's
had
condemn
he
them
well,
forever. It's just, let's try to
yeah,
teach them better.
he had done some extremely inappropriate things with her and had sexually assaulted and raped her apparently, and she had told my daughter about it. So my wife and I decided we needed to call my brother, Bingus, and ask him what was going on and tell him what she had told us. We told him that he probably needed to call the cops and things like that, and at least get the kid into some therapy or something, get his kid into some therapy, X, Y, and Z, the whole 9 yards, trying to be a good relative to the child.
Yeah.
But my Bingus and his baby mama decided that they weren't going to because the neighbor boy's father was very good friends of the family, and they told us to mind our own business. So my wife and I filed a report with Child Protective Services that turned out that everything that she had told us was true. And this caused a rift between me and my brother Bingus because he thought that I had scorned his side of the family somehow by doing this. And ever since then, they've kind of hated us with an unending passion. And then after that divide opened up, he apparently got really heavy into like Donald Trump and like MAGA sphere stuff.
Of
So
course.
in 2020, about 3 years later, when he heard that I was trans from our mother, he decided that there would be no further contact between us, like our children or anything, outside of them visiting, because my daughters and his children like to go over to their grandmother's house and visit each other during the summer.
Makes sense.
And I don't really like having other people's kids at my house to begin with, so I don't usually entertain at all. Like I all of anybody who knows me in real life will tell you that I am a little shut-in trans girl who stays in her house and does nothing but game and hang out with her kids. That's all I do. And yeah, after that the divide opened up quite a bit to the point where we had no contact outside the children meeting at their grandmother's house until last year in the summer. Uh, their side of the family, Bingus, reached out to my wife and began asking if their children could come stay for like a week as a sleepover to try to build back familial bonds and like deepen the connection between the cousins and stuff. And my daughter really wanted her to come and visit. So after like months and months of telling them, no, no, I don't want these people coming to visit. I don't trust anything that any of them say. I finally gave in and was like, fine, we'll have a sleepover over the summer. And so last year in the summer, uh, I don't remember the exact date, but they came over to visit us and hang out for the week. It ended up being 2 weeks because Bingus's baby mama got into a car accident when they were
Oh
supposed to
no.
come and pick up the children. And my wife was kind enough to go and pick them up from Vegas and drive them home, but it extended the stay. And the entire time, nothing crazy happens. No nonsense. We just have a good time. The kids hang out. All the normal shit kids do at sleepovers. Fast forward a few months later, and I have received word from my mother that my nieces and my brother are accusing me of grooming them for the past like 8 years, saying that they have been coming over to my house all the time, that they've been coming over in secret, that my mother has been dropping them off like every time they go over to her house, they're secretly coming to my house, and that they're seeking litigation against me for inappropriate sexual misconduct with a minor, and that they're filing a restraining order against me and stuff. Um, I obviously didn't do it. I didn't do any of it. My wife was there the whole time, along with my eldest daughter, who, like, they literally, when they come over to visit it, they slept in the same bed together, like my eldest daughter and my niece, and it spiraled out of control to the point where I got arrested without a warrant and dragged out of my house in front of my children, uh, and taken to jail for 6 weeks,
They
all
held
without
you
a
in
warrant.
jail for 6 weeks without even the warrant? What the hell?
Yep, they held me in jail for 6 weeks. And during that time, they bypassed the supplementary hearing where I would have gotten to go and like defend myself in front of a judge before the charges had escalated or anything. They bypassed that by seeking a grand jury indictment where they only show uh, a preliminary narrative and whatever the cops say happened to a panel of 3 judges. And then they decide if they want to move it forward to actually charging you.
What the fuck? It sounds like they're
hmm
treating it like guilty before innocent. Guilty until proven
They
innocent.
they did, in fact, treat it that way because the cop straight told me that, like the detective in charge of the case told me he thought I was guilty before I had even answered a single question.
Oh,
He,
that doesn't show any biases on the part of law enforcement.
oh, it gets better. So
Oh, I recall.
I I spent 6 weeks in a men's jail cell, and you've seen my Twitter, Briley. You know what I
I
look
have
like.
definitely seen your Twitter, and putting a
You
trans
know.
woman, especially one that looks like you, is just putting you into a place where you could be badly harmed.
Oh, there were several days where I had to spend 23 hours in a cell by myself because someone else had made the guards uncomfortable by staring at me too long and making like gestures and saying, yeah, there was quite a few times where I just ended up getting put into solitary for my own safety.
Oh my god. This is why I
Mm-hmm.
hate the right, the Republicans.
But
Like, this is the
thankfully,
shit they want to happen. It's fucked up.
yeah, and that's why we're talking about it, because I need people to know that this isn't a hypothetical anymore. It's a real thing. Like, if someone in your family doesn't like that you're trans, they can just say that you did things that you didn't do and get you arrested and thrown in jail for weeks on end, if not months. Because the only reason I wasn't currently in jail the last 6 months is because my friend Zoggy, who was there, like, because when they came over and spent the night for those 2 weeks, I didn't just stop, like, streaming and playing games with my friends and stuff. Like Zoggy and I would sit until like 3 or 4 in the morning playing Baldur's Gate 3 on Discord and shit. Uh, and so he was, for all intents and purposes, he was basically in the room with me the entire fucking time, just on a headset while I was talking to him and playing the game and stuff. That's why he literally jumped up and was the first person to be like, "No, I know that this didn't happen. We're gonna make sure that this doesn't fucking take your life away." And he ended up putting up $35,000 in bond for me to get out of jail after 6 weeks
Wow.
because, yeah,
Go
because
Zoggy.
he straight up he's a hero. He's an amazing person. Just like my I got assigned one of the best lawyers in all of Arizona, because that's another piece of context for all of this. This is all going down in a deep red district in Arizona. Like
Oh,
we are the deepest red of Arizona, and it is a terrible reminder of how badly things can get with fucking negative rhetoric being passed around.
yep.
Because I made it I had the best lawyer that anybody in the state of Arizona could have. How about call him Paul? And Paul was amazing and kept up on my case the entire time. So I get out of jail and spend the next 30 days hanging out with my family, relaxing, enjoying the small amount of freedom I'm getting at the moment because, I can't leave the state of Arizona. I'm told to stay in contact with my lawyer, all that good stuff.
Yeah.
And 30 days after I made bond, Child Protective Services worker shows up because after the arrest, they immediately initiated a case from Child Protective Services against my family, which they found absolutely nothing through because they had been talking to my wife and children the whole time, and they told them every single time the exact same thing. That never happened. None of it happened. I don't know where you're getting this from. Please stop. And well, after that 30 days had lapsed, my our CPS worker came to the door and was getting ready to close out the investigation into us, like fully close it and say absolutely nothing had occurred. Well, 2 days later, at the behest of the police department in my town, not the judge, not anybody in charge of any of the investigation of the case anymore, the police department told CPS that they needed to come to my home and remove my children and my wife from my home and get us to sign a release stating that they would no longer live with me for the duration of the trial until things had been cleared up. And after contacting my lawyer, we found out that this was not something we were required to do. The judge had not ordered any kind of special conditions on my release. I was allowed to go home and stay with my family as much as I wanted.
Yeah,
And
as
this
long as
was
you
just,
didn't try to flee the state
yeah,
or whatever.
yeah. And this was another tactic by the state to try to bully my family into being away from me,
Yeah,
is
bully
what
your
my,
family into dropping contact with you and pushing you into further isolation. These
hmm
people, the cruelty is the point.
that's what my lawyer told me. He Instead, you've already taken one of their big chips away from them. You're not in county jail anymore. They can't like bargain your freedom with you. So what they're going to try to do is create a wedge between you and your family and then try to get your wife to flip on you. They're going to try to make it to where they become witnesses for the state, which, didn't happen because my wife and I are still very much together. My children are still here,
Good. Good.
but it's just another little stick on my back of things that they did to try to pressure us. Mm, Thankfully, after a week of their nonsense and us standing our ground and our actual caseworker, uh, the one who was working with my wife, pleading on our behalf to their superiors because they were literally going to close the case like the 2 days prior, and then because I was out of fucking on bond, the police station was trying to force them to continue to harass us, and they basically got told that you can't supersede the order of a judge, and neither can the cops. So you can go ahead and try, but when we get to court, you're going to be found guilty of just like straight up kidnapping children, because that's what this is. You don't have any legal authority to be coming in here trying to remove these children from the home, and that's what you're doing right now. You're attempting to force my wife and children to leave my home for God knows how long this thing's going to take, and force us to be separated so that you can try to isolate them and isolate me and cause us more hardship. So while this is all going on, in the backdrop, the state is contacting my lawyer and talking about a plea agreement because they want to try to settle it through a plea agreement instead of a trial because that's always what the state wants to do. They don't want to actually go to trial most cases because
Because
if
then
they
they
went to
have to do
trial
their
on
job.
well, that and if they went to trial on every case, the courts would grind to a standstill.
Yep.
It would take years to get through the backlog that they have. And we stood firm on the fact that I had done nothing wrong and told them if they wanted a deal, the only deal we were willing to make was zero jail time and zero sexually related offenses. Like, you're not going to sit here and call me a predator and call me a pedophile. That's not happening. I didn't do anything like that. I haven't ever done anything like that, and I'm not going to have you sit here and slander me in court to fucking get a case.
Yeah, no shit.
And they kept doing things like trying to strong arm us by saying there were deadlines on the talks and we were going to stop having that option. And then we go to the final pretrial conference, right? Because there's a series of conferences and meetings that take place before you get to the actual trial so that you can select your jury and things like that. And we get there, and the state blindsides my lawyer and I, saying that they thought we were still in communication about a deal and that we were close to reaching a deal. When my lawyer and I were tracking that in like 10 days we were going to trial. Mind you, we had been gathering up a whole bunch of evidence that would have completely just destroyed them in court had they shown up because they said things like that I had forced them to give me oral, and a lot of people don't know this, but I have a singular tattoo on my body, just one, and it is right above my crotch. It's basically a womb tattoo,
Okay. So
and
the only way they could prove that would happen was if the kids could just like describe the tattoo.
yeah. Well, they couldn't even describe me at all. Like the description they gave in the interviews, because as a part of Discovery, we got to see all of their interviews and stuff and pick them apart.
Okay, that's good
And
at least.
there were several instances that my lawyer pointed out where uh like one of the children literally said daughter instead of niece, like she had been scripted and had been talked to by her parents on what to say. And then another time they talked about, I'm supposed to remember a few things and tell them to you. Like, what do you mean you're supposed to remember? If this happened to you, that means that you would remember it, not that you're supposed to remember it. And
Yeah, that's
anyways, that's off the topic though. Anyways, we get to that point, and at this point, the lawyer from the state is trying to strong arm us into taking deals that she wants, and we continue to stand our ground on exactly what we said. Fucking non-violent, non-sexual offense, no jail time. Literally, like 4 days before we're supposed to go to trial, the state's attorney uh, gets in contact with my lawyer and says, we're willing to drop the charges down to 2 counts of aggravated assault with stipulated probation, non-sexual, non-violent crime. So the crime they came up with was basically that me being trans around my nieces was grooming them.
which constitutes aggravated assault. What the fuck is wrong with
Yes,
these people?
yes. And my lawyer advised me that we should take the deal based solely on the circumstances of where we were in the country, because where I live, like I said, is an extremely deep red district. Like you can't throw a rock without hitting a red hat. You
Uh,
just can't. And because of that, the chances of us getting an unbiased jury pool was astronomical. Like even thinking we'd get one LGBT friendly person on the jury would have been a miracle. And on top of all that, right after we accepted the deal, because like I said, my lawyer told me this is the best deal anyone's ever gotten that I've seen out of the state. I don't know what's going on, but we should take this. Because even he was worried. He's like, even with all the evidence we have that you didn't do it, because I had video recordings of them being there, of like the nights in question, all sorts of shit.
like nanny cam
But
stuff?
yeah, but
Oh, perfect.
it wasn't a constant feed though.
Oh, shit.
They're literal baby cameras that are trained to movement. So they turn on and start recording whenever there's movement throughout the house. And he was concerned that the prosecution would have said, well, all those times where it's not active, that could have been when all this happened. And it's like, oh yeah, that's convenient that the only movement that it didn't pick up would have been the stuff that you guys would have wanted to see. Like, I don't understand the logic, but
Yeah, it would have been easier for them to say, "Oh, you just deleted those files."
hmm
But then like you could actually dive into the electronics and recover stuff that has been deleted. That's very
yeah,
possible to
but
do.
even then they could have argued that because the cameras were in fact like baby cameras and they only record like movement and stuff, that it just could have missed the movement. It just didn't see that particular frame or whatever, and so it didn't activate the recording feature. But anyways,
They're
uh,
dumb.
back to what happened. We go to do the settlement conference for the fucking deal. And as soon as the judge accepted and entered the deal, the state prosecutor, because he asked her, "Why are you accepting the deal? Why is the state so?" Because even he was like, "This is a ridiculously nice deal. There's no fine, no restitution, no fucking jail time, like no sex offender registry at all. Like, because the initial charges were this, and now we're down to aggravated assault." And The prosecutor looks up and says that they haven't been in contact with the accusers for over 5 months. They haven't been able to get them on the phone, haven't been able to do a Zoom call, haven't been able to see them in person to actually take their direct testimony and to prep for the trial at all. And on account of this, they feel that the accusers have backed out of the allegations and would not make it to trial.
Like
So,
the Bingus, they didn't
yeah,
have
Bingus.
he
Yeah, they didn't have
stopped
contact with
contacting them
Bingus.
for 5 months. Oh
Mm-hmm.
my god.
They stopped contacting them for 5 whole months after I think it was I had a reconsideration of release conditions hearing because my initial bond was $75,000, which is too
Jesus.
much for anybody.
What the fuck?
And at the hearing for that, they were on a Zoom call, specifically Bingus's baby mama, the mother of the accusers. And when asked to make a statement, she literally in a court of justice, like a court of law, said, I want them to live in fear and terror. Like the judge even had to admonish her openly in court and be like, this is a court of law. We are going to strike what you said from uh like records for the jury in the future, but uh we're just going to note that you would like to see justice be done. She basically gave away the whole game right there that it was just a
Just a,
bigotry and a family feud. Like you're mad because I called the fucking CPS workers because your kid was being sexually assaulted and you came up with this fucking nonsense to come after me.
how dare you try to protect my child? I'm gonna slander
Mm-hmm.
you in the worst way possible.
Oh,
Jesus Christ.
it gets worse, Briley. It gets
Oh,
worse.
why
All
am I
right,
surprised?
it gets worse. So it has a Jerry Springer twist to it.
Oh my god.
Okay.
Jerry,
Yeah,
Jerry.
yeah, yeah. You know what I'm talking about.
I know
Fucking
what you're
that.
talking
Oh
about.
yeah. Some people in the chat might not know, but don't worry, chat.
You'll find
You'll
out.
get it in a minute. So come to find out, I start talking to my mother and my sister. And they start talking to my wife as all of this is going down. And come to find out that last year, before any mention of the children coming over to my home and spending time and the whole familial bonding nonsense, um, my sister had come out and accused my Bingus on Father's Day of raping and assaulting her from the age of 4 until he met his current baby mother. And he walked up to my sister's husband and told him that yes, he did, and that our sister had been a willing participant in it and had come after him.
Jesus
So just
fuck.
the most fucked thing you could. It was, and he did this in front of an entire household of our family. Like I wasn't there because I don't really go to those family functions. I usually stay with my kids at my house and do our own little function. And the whole rest of the family, because I have quite the large family. I've got my brother Bingus, I got a sister, and another brother. And then my younger brother, the one who isn't Bingus, lives with my mother, and my sister and her husband come over there all the time because we all live in the same area. They hang out a lot. They do things like play D&D and stuff and games and whatnot. And yeah, so that went down. And according to my mom and sister, they think all of this was just a cover to keep my sister from going to the police about Bingus because it would have seemed like it was just retaliation after the fact. and that they picked me because they've never liked me. And as a trans woman in a deep red district, all they had to do was tell the cops that I was trans and tell their kids to lie about it, and suddenly I'm being dragged out of my house.
Yeah, and unlawfully arrested.
Yeah, that was another issue that my lawyer was going to bring up, the fact that I was still in my house when they grabbed me and yanked me out into my yard without a warrant. It's like you
Yeah.
you didn't even have a warrant to make that arrest. You were in the questioning phase, which was another issue with the investigation because there was no investigation. They got told what Bingus and his wife wanted them to hear, and then they immediately came over to my house and made an arrest. That was it. They didn't seek to go and talk to like my mother to confirm that the children had actually been being dropped off secretly or anything like that. Like they didn't talk to anyone else about it at all. There was zero investigation that actually occurred.
And it's so fucked up that there are people that will cheer this shit on because
Mhm.
they hate trans people.
Yeah. It's that's why it's hard for me to talk about it. That's why I'm sitting here taking my meds while we talk about it. I'm kind of on my front porch just trying to stay calm, but
Yeah,
in the
do
end,
what you gotta do.
yeah, I got 3 years probation, and I have to pay $85 a month for those 3 years to just be on probation.
For something you didn't even do.
Hmm. And the judge even admitted while doing the sentencing, which is why my sentencing was so light, because the judge could have given me an additional year of jail time in the county jail as part of the probation. Like he could have just done that, apparently. They have the right to do that in Arizona, I guess. And he decided to use the 6 weeks I had already been in jail as time served on account of the fact, like, he straight told my lawyer and me and the state, like, it's rather unethical that you withheld the information about the accusers backing out from everyone here. You didn't tell anyone that that's what was going on because 5 months ago you could have told everyone you had lost contact with them and we would have moved on from there.
Yeah, no shit. It,
Instead,
it's
you
like their cruelty was
got
the
you
goddamn point.
you manipulated a guilty plea out of someone in exchange for their freedom. And on top of that, he acknowledged my lawyer's argument that being where we are and the current political climate and how people react to transgender people in general and the rhetoric surrounding transgender people right now in our district, in the county, it would have been almost impossible to have an unbiased jury. There would have been a majority of people who had the idea that if you are a transgender woman or man, you are instantly grooming any child you come into contact with.
Oh no, in these people's minds, only trans women exist. They don't think trans men exist.
Yeah, I know, I know.
It's
I actually
they're dumb.
saw something about that. Some city council up in like I think it's the northern part of Arizona was having a debate because a transgender man was using the women's room because here in Arizona you have to use the bathroom of your assigned gender at birth. And yeah,
Yeah,
the
like
women in the bathroom didn't really like having a 300-pound like gym bro walk up into their bathroom, but he was a trans man, so by law he's got to go
yeah,
into the women's room.
bro is just following the law.
Just doing what you told him. I don't know what you want. Like, but yeah, and so we're at this place now where even the judge didn't give me any recuperate, like no restitution is what it's called, not recuperation, restitution. So Bingus and them get nothing. They got absolutely nothing out of all of this.
They get nothing, and you get a permanent mark on your record.
Well, that's the thing. We're looking for post-conviction relief.
Oh, okay.
Um, we're hopefully in the next week or two, I'm going to apply for a meeting with the governor, Katie Hobbs. She's been a pretty steadfast ally of the trans community in Arizona. It's kind of crazy that our governor is actually quite left-leaning and uh, an ally to the LGBT community.
Let's
So we're
go.
hoping to apply for a pardon through the governor's board of clemency and talk to her and bring the evidence and everything to her because I still have all the evidence that was put forth in discovery. I've saved it all to my computer.
Good.
And
Good.
my lawyer, even though he's a public defense attorney, has already said you still have my email anytime you need to get a hold of me about the case in the future. Like, say you apply for post conviction relief or a pardon or something, I'd be more than happy to let you have the records and transcripts from the court, everything you might need, just for free. Here you go.
Oh, that lawyer's awesome.
He's amazing. He's quite amazing. He like we asked him basically the whole time, like, what do you think we should do? And he's like, in this circumstance, I would stick to your guns and hold out and do what you got to do because they're just playing. He was right the whole time. He said they were playing legal chicken and they were gonna keep trying to shop different offers at us and keep throwing them until we found one that we liked. And I was like, the only one I'm gonna like is the one that right here, no sex offender, nonviolent. I'm not some kind of criminal monster. I'm just a trans woman who happened to fucking fall for a stupid line from her brother Bingus. Just I want to fucking rebuild the family. Yeah, sure, buddy.
Yeah, like with these people, I swear to God, every accusation is just a confession. Like
It's
Bingus
just
calls you
projection.
uh Bingus calls you a predator while he's been doing it for the kid most of the kid's life.
Yeah, he's
No
been
wonder he
doing
went
it
to MAGA.
to our sister like the entire time. And
Wait, so your brother was assaulting your sister, not his daughter?
not his, well, I don't know if he was assaulting his daughter or not.
Okay, fair enough.
I don't know. In all likelihood, I wouldn't say that it's not a possibility that that's what was going down. And like that's what happened on Father's Day is my sister confronted Bingus about the fact that he had been doing that to her for most of her adult life and childhood, like in front of her husband and like an entire room of people, and he just went off about how like he victim blamed her. He basically said that it was her fault that she had come on to him at the age of 4 fucking years old.
How old was he at the time?
I think he was about 5 years older, maybe four, so 8 or 9.
Oh my God.
Yeah, and he just apparently kept doing it. None of us knew about this happening until last year when she came out about it, and I didn't know because apparently my mother and my sister had decided not to tell me and my wife about it because they didn't want to ruin the relationship between my children and their children. They still wanted them to be able to be friends, and they knew that if I knew that Bingus had done this, I would not allow my children around his children whatsoever. They wouldn't go over there. His children wouldn't come over to my house. Like there would have been zero contact from that moment forward.
Yeah,
And
understandably.
yeah, it it's just a fucking absolute mess. And thankfully we got through it. We're getting through it, I guess, is how I should put it. We're still making our way through, but we avoided because according to the original charges, they were seeking 50 years for the original charges. They were going to try to put me
50?
in
What
prison.
the
for
fuck?
50 years off of somebody pointing a finger and saying, "You did this." And it was horrible. Like it was
Oh,
straight up
God, I am
horrible.
so glad you won that. Like, Jesus
Yeah.
Christ.
Well, one it was kind of like a Pyrrhic victory, you know what I
Yeah,
mean? We
like
won, but we didn't win.
it's not a
It's
perfect victory, but you still
yeah.
pulled through.
Yeah. Instead of 50 years, it's 3 years of probation, and instead of what could have been $150,000 fine, I get zero fine because I think the judge knew because he even said like once the plea is entered, I cannot refuse it unless there is a manifest injustice.
Manifest
And
injustice? What?
yes, I would have to be able to show that there was a manifest injustice in the plea deal itself, that I had been forced to take it instead of like I was being forced or coerced into take it, or my rights were being violated by the deal, something like that. And I think that's why you could see him when the prosecutor said that they had no contact and were not confident that they could gain a conviction because that was the only evidence they had was their testimony, period.
Oh my
And
God.
the the judge visibly like put his hand in his head and just was kind of like and I think that's why the sentencing was so very light, was because he realized what had happened. And apparently, them withholding that information is not a manifest injustice. It's not a violation of the law because they're not required to tell the defense whether or not they have contact with the witnesses. They just have to be able to tell them who could show up to trial. Not that they will, or that they've actually verified anything that they've said till this point, but just that they could be there. Like
That's so
technically,
fucked
I
up.
guess, yeah, I guess technically they could have put like Donald Trump down as he was going to be there, but if he didn't show up, oh well. Like he
Yeah,
could have he could have testified, but he didn't.
non-0% chance.
Yeah, that I wanted to come on today specifically for this reason to just get the story out there because I'm gonna continue my streams and stuff and continue trying to build and things, but
Hmm.
I didn't want people trying to say like I was hiding what had happened,
Oh yeah, that absolutely makes
but
sense.
and I want people to be aware. Everyone always talks about it like it's a hypothetical. You know what I mean? Like when they start coming after us, when they start targeting trans people, when they start targeting the LGBT community. And I'm like, it's not a when, they are.
Yeah, they've
It's
been
happening.
doing this for years.
It's like, it's happening. These are not anecdotes. This is literal shit that keeps on happening. So, to any trans person watching or anybody who ends up watching, be careful who you come out to.
Yeah,
Be
yeah,
careful,
especially
cause
in red states, right-leaning areas. Protect
and
yourself.
even
Survival
your
is how we
closest
win.
even your closest relatives, your brother, your fucking sister, your mother, your
Hmm.
father, they could all. You don't know how anybody actually works on the inside, and they can shock you and surprise you.
Yeah, like
And
as I was growing up with my brothers, my older brother was like the most liberal out of all of us, and
hmm
ironically enough, I was the one falling to the alt-right pipeline. But
oh
now here
goodness,
we are. When oh, don't worry, I got out of it.
I
Now,
I I figured. No, no, definitely. Alt-right trans girl makes sense.
there are a lot of them. It's
I
weird.
know, I know. Blair,
But
Blair,
yeah,
Blair,
now
Blair,
I'm
Blair.
Blair White.
Blair White. Yeah, Blair White. That Blair. Poor
I didn't
hun.
know she was like explicitly alt right. I knew she was very right leaning.
She's very alt-right.
Oh, okay, that's more
I
disappointing.
Well, you remember from my last interview with you, like my family growing up, my father was extremely like heavily like alt-right, extreme radical alt-right,
Mm,
like neo-Nazi nonsense alt-right, and I picked up on a lot of their dog whistles and what they like to, yeah, the
yeah.
she fits directly into that slot. Like if it was one of those little peg puzzles where you got like the star, the circle, the little arch and everything, she would be the little star that gets pushed into the little schmatzy slot.
Wouldn't it be like the little pink triangle?
Maybe. Be a little pink triangle.
Yeah,
Damn you, Blay. Damn you.
yeah. But yeah, when growing up, my older brother was more liberal. I was more right leaning, and then as I grew up and came out, my older brother, has been shifting more to the right as I shift more to the
Mm-hmm.
left. Yeah, but
Uh,
the rest of my family's cool. I'm lucky
yeah,
there, but
see,
you
that's
never
the same
know.
thing that happened for me. Oh, and that's the actual like story topper on the cake, right? Of this whole situation. So part of the sentencing is you can get letters of character like from people you know and give them to the judge to help sway their opinion of you. And my entire extended family ended up writing this shit. This poor judge probably had himself a whole book to read. And apparently part of that process is they have to show those letters of character to the accusers. And Bingus saw the letters from like my mother, my other brother, my sister, all of their friends, several of their teenage children coming to bat for me and be like, I've been around bunnies for years and never had any inclination of that kind of thing ever at all, ever.
God, I'm so
So
glad so many people were able to back you up there.
yeah, it was quite a bit, but because of that, Bingus decided to message my mother and basically tell her that I was an it, I wasn't a person anymore, all of us were scum, and that everything that had happened between him and our sister had messed him up, and that they were never going to be talking to them ever again, and basically just excommunicated themselves from the family.
Well, at least he did it himself.
Yeah, well, it was already happening. I had already
Yeah.
told my mother and everyone that if you want to stay in contact with them, you're not staying in contact with me.
Yeah, no,
Like
that's
that's
totally fair.
just how that's working. You're not allowed to talk to me and to them. And if I find out you are, we're never talking to you again.
Simple as. Like,
Mm-hmm.
there's got to be some kind of rep- uh shit, what's the word? I need more weed in my system.
Repercussion.
Repercussion, thank you. Yeah, there has to be some kind of repercussion for this kind of bullshit that they're just throwing out randomly, essentially.
Oh yeah, and it was like after we lined up all the timing because the whole thing that happened on Father's Day happened right before they started pestering my wife and I about wanting to have the kids come over for a sleepover.
So,
Like,
like, this gets, or the thing with Bengus gets outed, and then a few days later, they're like, hey, let's have our kids sleep over. What
yeah,
could
let's
go wrong
rebuild the
there?
family bond. And then they
And then
come
they just
over
go
for a
straight
couple
into
of
the
weeks
false
and
accusations.
yeah, just immediately. And the weirdest thing was is like the children during their interviews because I have the interviews. Like I've seen them. If you would like to see them, I could show you just as proof at some point so that people know that I'm not just making shit up.
Sure, I will go over that,
But
and I will not share them on your behalf either. I will
mhm,
be another voice that's like, yeah, I've seen them. I can confirm they're real.
it's like they're real. I've seen it. It's absolute dog shit.
Yeah.
um, they they talk about how they wanted, like, they kept wanting to come over, and how I never wanted them around me because I'm usually gaming or taking care of my kids, and didn't want them there to begin with.
Fair.
Like,
It is your house.
I didn't want you guys to come over anyways. Not gonna sugarcoat it for you, kid. And they were always trying to sit next to me and like do what I was doing or whatever, and I kept telling them to go away. And apparently that made them uncomfortable. And I'm like, what are you supposed to do? You have to teach the children to enforce boundaries. Like,
Yeah.
I told you to back off of me, and you're not listening, so now you need to go away.
It, it's
It's,
simple as.
yeah. And then come to find out, one of the reasons why the state lost contact with them and couldn't set up any more meetings is because the ride that they had to meet up with the prosecutors and stuff was the friend you remember, uh Bingus's daughter was assaulted by the neighbor boy whose father was friends with Bingus.
Yeah.
Apparently that was their ride back and forth to these things. And they had a falling out of sorts. And after that they lost all contact with Bingus.
Wow.
Yeah.
Just wow.
State pretty much said that they had backed out of the allegation, and they only shared that after the pen was put on paper. And since that doesn't count as a manifest injustice, I couldn't go back and be like, no, that I'm not pleading guilty, then we can go to trial, and or you guys can just dismiss it right here since you have nothing.
Yeah, seriously.
Like,
What the fuck?
that was my major problem the whole time, is I'm sitting there like, you guys have had nothing this entire time. Absolutely nothing. No evidence at all whatsoever. And you've just been pushing this narrative the whole time with no evidence that anything of what you're saying is true. And it really like shocked me, the fact that the state was willing to bet on the fact that my area is full of a bunch of bigoted clowns. It's like, the fuck, bro. Like, I get that your understanding of the demographic in the area, I get you're very mindful of this, but to use it against someone like that, to bank your entire prosecution on the fact that the jurors, if they show up, will be bigoted against trans people more often than not, is insane. And it shocked me.
Yeah,
It,
it's very fucked up.
but do you have any questions, Briley? I feel like I've just been ranting. It hasn't been much of an interview. I've just been ranting like a dumb hoe.
Oh no, girl, you're fine. Like this segment is all about sharing your story. So I what do I have to really input on? I tried to, but it's mostly about you sharing your story.
Well, that's the story. Now we're present day. My wife and I are just kind of hanging out, doing what we do, chilling with the kids. Gonna be getting back into streaming this week. I'm gonna start having a regular schedule and go back to what I was doing to try to make some extra money and have fun and build the whole little rabbit hole community. More bunnies, more bunnies.
Yeah, get back on that grind set.
Mm-hmm.
And you're on Twitch, right?
Yeah, I'm on Twitch. I also have a YouTube, but it's very dead. It's from back before I even transitioned, like when I was still in the closet, and like it's just old fucking videos of like Bloodstained and New World, which I miss New World.
New World. I don't think I actually played it.
It was a MMO by Amazon. It had a really big release and then it flopped really hard.
I just dropped Bunny's channel link in the Twitch or in the YouTube chat for anybody that wants to go support her. Please do.
Yeah, I could use all the support I could get. I'm currently just trying to make it through. All I got to do is pay my little lawyer fees and probation fees, and I've already met my parole officer, which was kind of weird. That was actually hilarious because um, they come over and they do inspections, right? They just show up at your house and do walkthroughs and stuff.
Yeah.
And him and his partner showed up, and I shit you not, I'm sitting there in some jean booty shorts, little crop top, little fucking sweater, and some the thigh highs, and answer the door, and he's just like takes a step back. We're here to see fucking bunnies, and I'm like, yeah, I'm her. Hi. Can we come in and do an inspection? Who's all here? My wife and my children. And yeah, you can. Here. You just walk through, bud. The entire time they're just sitting there staring at me like, what the fuck? And I'm like, yeah. Because apparently they must have just read the ID scan and whatnot and thought I was a boy or something. And
I mean, it's called drip, dudes. Get it together.
yeah. So yeah, that was hilarious. But now I just have to check in with them once a month until hopefully I get pardoned. As
Yeah, I
I'm
really hope
hoping
you
that
do
I
too.
can, yeah, I'm hoping that I can get in contact with the governor and get all that taken care of, because if I can get it pardoned and get it taken off, it everything will have a nice happy ending to it.
Yeah. Right
If
now
not,
we've got a not horrible ending, but
yeah,
we want that happy ending where it's fully cleared. Because
it's the
these are
lesser of two
fucking.
evils right now.
Yeah. Yeah.
Thankfully, I got my stuff taken care of before the courts get really out of hand, because my wife was legitimately terrified for my safety about it, because you've seen what's been happening in the courts across America right now, and how people are just getting fucking disappeared to El Salvador,
Yeah.
and how Trump's been talking about using it for uh native like American citizens and stuff too, like taking actual full-blown American citizens and not
Oh,
just
yeah, they already
immigrants
have.
and shipping them to El Salvador.
Yeah, they already have.
And she was worried because what if they start doing that to trans people? They're
There's a good chance. There's
yeah,
also a good
so
chance they're going to target autistic people the same way.
mhm.
Because I know RFK Jr. tried to start up a registry, but then got so much backlash, he dropped that, thankfully.
Yeah,
But,
we
like,
don't
they
we don't need
want
a
to. They
we don't
actively
need any
want to.
registries going up. Okay, I don't need to be wearing a little pink triangle.
Yeah, no
Thanks.
shit.
I'm good. And it's just been a lot. It's been a lot of stress and a lot of heartache and just an overwhelming amount of just personal turmoil at this point.
Yeah.
Like I I was in the army, I deployed to Iraq. I went through a whole year-long deployment, and that last 7 months, that was harder than my entire military career. It was more terrifying than when I used to have to disable landmines and stuff. Like it was it was horrible. I got to watch the system I had defended turn itself on me and like spit the most vile venom it could directly at me and be like, we're taking everything from you. Because they threw me in the mail pod and I had to walk around in the boy clothes and the fucking had to have a fucking cellmate, which was very, very awkward. Like,
So you did have a
th-
cellmate?
yeah. Thankfully, he left every night because he needed a CPAP machine, or else he would just kind of like choke
Oh,
to
okay.
death while he was sleeping or something.
Yeah,
So they
sleep
moved him out of
apnea.
the
Basically,
cell.
you stop breathing at intermittent intervals, and the CPAP machine just keeps air going through your body as you sleep.
Yeah. So he got taken out every night before we went to bed, thankfully. But
That's pretty lucky, honestly.
it was pretty lucky. the divine little bubble I have around my life appears to be holding strong at this point. And it's it's been a fucking roller coaster, Briley. It's been a fucking roller coaster, and I'm glad that I'm finally getting off the ride.
Yeah, you had very rocky parts there, and now it's like smoothing out some.
Yeah, I mean, having to pay $85 a month for 3 years isn't bad.
Yeah.
I don't I don't even have to get like drug tested or anything, and
Let's go.
I
I'm gonna
have a
smoke you up with some weed.
yeah, I have a medical card, which was another funny part about the sentencing. So, the judge told me I'm not allowed to be under the influence of marijuana, but that I could not by law be told that I'm not allowed to take it medically. So I'm allowed to smoke, but I'm not allowed to be like super high, I guess. Because
Okay.
he likened it to someone drinking a glass of red wine with dinner to help with their heart problems versus someone getting shit-faced at the bar.
That's okay. That's fair. But
So
still,
like
it's
you could
weed.
take it you could take it medically, but you can't like get plastered and act like a doofus.
Yeah, but where's the line? Is it like puff puff
There
pass,
isn't
or
one.
is it?
When I talk to the probation people, they straight up said there isn't one and there's no way to enforce that, so they're not gonna.
Oh, nice. Okay. Get high.
Not gonna not gonna waste our time drug testing someone who doesn't need to be drug tested. Like you're not on crack, are you? No. Are you on meth? No. Are you on fentanyl? No. Do you drink alcohol? No. What do you do? I play video games and I draw funny art. What? Yeah, freelance graphic design. People pay me to draw art for them. What kind of art? Art. They pay me to draw whatever they want me to draw. Which, by the way, if anybody wants funny art drawn, I do stuff.
Yeah, hit her up. Commission's open.
D DM me on Twitter. My thing is open. Which, the bot problem on Twitter. Good
Oh,
lord.
Jesus Christ. Yeah. Honestly, I stopped
But
using it.
yes.
I'm Blue Sky exclusively now.
All right. That is all that I have to say, Miss Briley.
Thank you for sharing.
Not a problem. Thank you for having me on. It's been a pleasure, and I'm just grateful for the chance to like get it out there and tell people what's going on so that when your tinfoil hat uncle fucking tells you that you're overreacting and that the courts aren't being weaponized against fucking gay and trans people, like you can tell them, no, it is. This is happening. People are doing it. Please
Yep.
stop minimizing the direct damage you're causing.
It's so fucked up.
It really is. But I love your face, and I'm gonna get going. I
Love your
gotta.
face. You too. You have a good one.
Bye.
Bye. Rest up. Hey, you made it to the end of the video. I bet you're already a subscriber, huh? And I bet you already hit that like button, so I don't need to remind you. However, I am still going to thank all my beeps that support the channel through the membership. Thank y'all. You deserve that little kiss next to your name. If you're not subscribed, you really should. You get more stream segments like this, and I have video essays in the future.